Have you ever wondered why Iran has been quietly spending billions of tomans on the Caspian Sea for years? A secret project right in the middle of the Caspian Sea, where there is no fishing, no oil drilling, just silence and the suspicious movement of unknown ships. Since 2016, a strange movement has begun, the construction of a research platform that is only called the Seminary, but its function is something else. At first glance, it looks like a weather station, but in fact, it is the control center of a secret operation. Engineers and specialized forces from the IRGC and the Ministry of Defense secretly enter it during night shifts. Under this platform, tunnels have been built that go up to 350 meters under the Caspian seabed, with soundproof and infiltration-proof rooms. What is the goal? The construction of a smart naval base for 24-hour surveillance of regional trade and even eavesdropping on the communications of neighboring countries. According to unofficial reports, just one of the eavesdropping devices in this project cost about 85 billion tomans. The Caspian Sea is now not only a source of oil and gas, but also a source of security and intelligence competition. Russia, Azerbaijan, and Turkmenistan have repeatedly expressed concerns about these activities unofficially, but Iran knows that without a strong presence in this sea, its energy future and security are at risk. This secret mission is not just a project, it is a power play in the heart of the calmest sea, and only a small part of it has been leaked, but the rest is still classified. But don't worry, we are here to tell you these reports through the most accurate and reliable scientific sources. And just to understand this story, just subscribe to our channel and follow me in the video. In 1402, an Iranian research ship called the Khazar III went to the middle of the Caspian Sea to investigate the seabed. Its goal was to see if there were oil and gas resources under there, but they found something very strange. At a depth of about 110 meters, the sonar devices showed an image, a very large and regular structure, which was not natural at all. At first they thought it was a strange piece of rock, but when they looked with an underwater camera, they saw something like an old base or a platform with smooth metal walls there. Its dimensions were approximately 40 meters long and 18 meters wide, like a sunken building in the middle of the sea. There they contacted the Naval Command Center, and a few hours later, an urgent team of Iranian scientists and the Navy arrived at the site. And that's where a project called Structure 110 was launched in secret, because no one knew what was found there. It's interesting to know that the initial budget for this project was about 80 billion tomans, because they realized that if this structure was something important, it might even contain old Soviet technologies or resources that no one had touched yet. From that moment on, the story became official, a strange discovery that no country had fully talked about until now. But Iran took the first step. When Iran found that strange structure at a depth of 110 meters in the Caspian Sea, everything became very serious. The Navy entered the action immediately, because what was discovered was not just a simple structure. It could have been an abandoned base, an old spy center, or even a sensitive source of energy. For this reason, the Iranian army declared an area with a radius of 5 kilometers of that structure a no-marine zone. This means that no ship, boat, or submarine was allowed to enter that area. Even local fishermen have to change course. In less than 48 hours, a few warships, a naval drone, and an Iranian submarine were sent to the scene to establish complete security. No one has the right to approach it until it is known what this structure is, said the Navy. The goal was not only protection, but also to prevent information leakage, because if this structure belonged to the former Soviet Union, it might contain documents, tools, or technologies that are very important in terms of security. This action caused the countries around the Caspian Sea, such as Russia, Kazakhstan, and Turkmenistan, to keep an eye on Iran, because Iran was the first country to discover and protect such a thing in the Caspian Sea. After Iran found the strange structure on the bottom of the Caspian Sea, engineers began examining its pieces. Some of the pieces that were separated from the structure had strange things. For example, a series of metal pipes and plates were found with inscriptions in Old Russian. There was even a small logo on one of the pieces that looked very similar to the military symbols of the former Soviet Union. These things made some experts say, this structure is likely a secret base related to the former Soviet Union, because during the Cold War, the Soviet Union secretly tested many of its military technologies and radars in remote places such as the seabed. Another hypothesis has been put forward, that this structure may have been an underwater listening center that could control ships and submarines in the region. Some also said that it may have been built to test nuclear energy or underwater magnetics. Now, Iranian teams are looking for old Soviet documents, maps, and reports to find out exactly what happened there, because if this structure is really Soviet, it may contain technologies that are still of great value, especially for the construction of military or naval equipment, and it could greatly strengthen the country of Iran, both financially and militarily. Now let's see what this strange discovery means for Iran in terms of money and power. When engineers and experts examine the structure, they realize that there may be very rare minerals around this structure, such as metals that are only found in the earth or under the sea, and are used in the manufacture of advanced devices such as smartphones, satellites, or military equipment. In one of the samples taken from the soil around the structure, a very small amount of scandium and yttrium was found. These are metals that sometimes reach $500,000 per ton on the global market. If Iran can mine this area well, it could earn between $1 and $1.5 billion a year from this area alone. That is almost as much as the oil sales of some provinces of the country. But it is not just a question of money. This structure and its surroundings are also strategic from a military and security perspective, because it is in a very special point of the Caspian Sea, where the route of ships and energy transfer passes through Russia, Turkmenistan, and Kazakhstan. Now, Iran can have a permanent underwater station in this region. This means that it will both make money and increase its power in the region. And this means a big step towards Iran becoming a real naval power in the Caspian Sea. When Iranian engineers were investigating an underwater structure, they found something strange. In one of the underground tunnels, which was designed to be closed and secret, devices were discovered that showed very weak signs of radioactivity. That is, they somehow showed the presence of old nuclear energy. Because of this, the Iranian government decided to involve the Atomic Energy Organization. This organization is specialized in investigating nuclear energy in the country. They came with their advanced equipment and realized that most likely this was a former Soviet test base for testing nuclear technology. But it's not just that. A series of data showed that there may be an abandoned experimental reactor deeper in this structure. Of course, not in a dangerous way. But if this information is correct, it means that Iran has obtained a top-secret source of old nuclear technology. This discovery could help Iran develop some of its advanced scientific projects faster. For example, building small nuclear batteries or designing advanced underwater tracking systems. That's why a lot of information in this area is still kept completely secret, because if nuclear technology is really involved, it's not just an Iranian issue. Many others are also watching carefully what Iran is going to do with this information. After the news of the discovery of a strange structure in the Caspian Sea was released, the world's major media outlets reacted to it one by one. Networks such as BBC and CNN Russia, and even a few Japanese and Turkish media outlets, quickly reported on it. They said, Iran has discovered one of the strangest underwater structures without foreign help. Some did not believe that this project was completely carried out by domestic Iranian teams, especially when they learned that the underwater robots, scanning equipment, and technical team were all Iranian. Many said that Iran had managed to do something that is usually done only by countries like the United States or Russia. In some reports, this project was considered Iran's largest marine exploration operation in the last 30 years. Even one of the CNN analysts said, "We thought the Caspian Sea was for us, but now Iran has shown that it is looking more closely than anyone else." This global reflection caused neighboring countries such as Azerbaijan, Kazakhstan, and Russia to start examining the surrounding areas more closely. In general, this discovery was a kind of demonstration of Iran's power in science, technology, and even secret crisis management, and the world realized that it was no longer possible to examine Iran only from a political perspective, because Iran also has something to say in science. A few weeks after the discovery of the structure, something strange happened. Suddenly, everything went quiet. There was no news from the domestic media, no words from the authorities. It was as if a mute button had been pressed. Even the teams that had initially been talking about the discovery were no longer giving interviews. Some reports said that a special section of the Army and the Ministry of Intelligence had put the entire project on security alert. What do you think this means? This means that Iran concluded that the structure probably contained things that, if made public, would jeopardize the country's security. For example, it might contain secret Soviet technology, or it might contain information that other countries might want to steal. Therefore, an important decision was made. Everything had to remain secret. Even some documents that had been distributed among students at Sharif University were collected very quickly, and entry to the area was only possible with a special military permit. The government's silence showed that the matter was much more important than a simple discovery. It could be a major security issue, or even an opportunity for Iran to use in global negotiations. In any case, from that day on, the project went into a state of silence. But the curiosity of the public, scientists, and the media has not yet died down. After that strange discovery in the depths of the Caspian Sea, Iran did not just stand by and watch. No, a serious movement began. In official meetings in Tehran, they decided to use this opportunity and make a big leap in the country's maritime technology. The first step was to build unmanned submarines, robots that can go underwater, collect data, take pictures, or even perform operations without a human being inside. They are kind of like sea drones, and currently Sharif University of Industry and the Ministry of Defense are working on it together. And after the idea of this work, there was talk of building underwater energy platforms. That is, Iran wants to start extracting resources buried under the Caspian Sea, rare metals, special energies, or even gas and oil that have been untouched until now. They even allocated a large budget for it. It is said that in the first year alone, over 4,000 billion tomans of budget was approved for the development of marine technology. In addition to these, several research centers were opened in Mazandaran and Gilan at the same time. Their goal is to better understand everything that was discovered from that structure and to use it in the construction of new equipment. Overall, Iran realized one important thing with this discovery. Power at sea is not just with warships, it is with science, with technology, and with courage. And now, Iran is making its own way in this direction. It all started with a simple underwater discovery. But now, many have a question. Can Iran really become a technological power in the Caspian Sea? The answer is, if it continues like this, yes. Iran now has a few important things. First, advanced underwater equipment that it has built itself, such as marine robots and mapping systems. Second, operational experience from a real and serious discovery, which many countries do not even have yet. And third, domestic experts who are engaged in research in universities and scientific centers, such as Sharif and the university jihads. On the other hand, Iran's geographical location is very important. Iran has a large part of the southern coast of the Caspian Sea. This means that whatever happens in this sea, Iran can directly affect it. Now, if Iran can continue this path with good funding, political support, and scientific cooperation, it can very soon become a maritime technology hub in the region. And it's not just about the sea. This means more power in energy negotiations, better control of subsurface resources, and even more strategic influence in the Caucasus and Central Asia. So yes, that discovery was the beginning of a bigger plan, a plan that could change the future of the Caspian Sea and even Iran. And if you still have questions or want to know more, be sure to check out the description of this video. The reliable sources of this discovery are written down in the description section so that you know that everything is real and documented. Thank you for staying with me until the end of this video. If you liked it and felt that this content was worth watching, just subscribe to our channel and give us a little like so that we know that we are going the right way. And until the next video, goodbye.